Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield. I'm Josh Williams, and I'm joined by David Hughes. As ever, how are you getting on this week, mate?
Yeah, mate. I mean, I look a bit.
Good.
I look like one of Mr. Miyagi's favourite students here with my earbands on, but except for that, I'm all right.
It's been a few weeks, actually, hasn't it, since we updated the wigs?
Yeah, but we were just talking then, weren't we, before we come on, that we both got our appointments in with our barbers for next week, so we're a bit
Yeah,
giddy.
yeah. Um, as the league title win gradually phased out, because I remember last week he was a little bit down, weren't you?
So, yeah, you
Yeah,
know what? It was good to do this. I think it was good to talk about it on the show, and um, yeah, it's kind of gone. There's always a You always kind of expect the world to end when you see rivals. Even though, as I said, I'm pretty laid back with it now. But we see rivals do really well, but everything just kind of settles back down. And I think it's one of them that you'll then look back on the achievements further down the line again and realise how good it is. Because there's still games to be played. I think attention will switch back onto that, like we're doing today. That'd probably be something that we and Liverpool fans kind of address and relive in years to come instead.
yeah. It feels like we only recorded yesterday, really,
Yeah.
because we did a bit of a special episode on the Friday on Liverpool's title win because we won the league the night before, I think it was. But we didn't actually talk about the matches that took place beforehand, and we didn't look ahead. So that's what we're going to do now. So brief word on Palace and Everton, because it seems like a while ago now, and then we're going to have a little look ahead to Manchester City, who we have on Sunday, who we have on Thursday, and then Aston Villa, who we have on the Sunday, and then we'll tackle next week's games when they come. So yeah, we'll start with the match that was furthest away. It was actually the first game back, so it does feel like a lifetime away. But I'm sure you will be happy to talk about it, Dave.
That's my. I wouldn't say my torch in the darkness. It's probably better described as a little lighter of hope. Um, in what was a pretty woeful game from a neutral point of view. Probably a little bit of a frustrating game from a Liverpool point of view as well. But I think Everton done fairly well in terms of how they tactically set up to nullify Liverpool. I think it helped that they were missing one or two key players, namely Robertson and Salah. But yeah, I thought it was good tactics from an Everton point of view, and it made for a difficult evening for Liverpool, and maybe one they were pretty thankful to come away with a point with in the end.
Yeah, I mean we predicted fairly comfortable wins, but I think maybe we might have overestimated the impact of the fans, maybe because I think that's what we thought would be the difference maker. The fact that Everton had no fans behind them, Liverpool had no fans against them, and it was the first game back, so fitness would play a part. So I thought we expected it to be quite one sided and quite like the best team wins sort of thing. But maybe we got caught out there. Maybe I mean I don't know what the numbers are strictly so far in terms of the results for every team and whether things have changed massively. I think it's maybe a little bit too early to look at that, but maybe that's something that we overestimated.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, we it seems like to us that was the decisive factor between a Liverpool win and not a Liverpool win, really. But
I seem to remember like James Coleman in particular, um, Tom Davis, Richarlison. They all really did seem very very fired up as though the fans were in the ground.
yeah,
So, but that I thought wouldn't be the case. I thought they'd take a natural knock on the mental side simply because it was an empty ground.
yeah, yeah, that's a fair point. I expected something similar, but you mentioned Coleman there. I thought Coleman had a really good game against, for me,
Yeah,
one of the best players in Europe, in
yeah,
Mane.
Coleman was
Uh,
outstanding. I thought, yeah,
yeah, because I don't even think Mane didn't play well. I just thought he just done really well in the. We talk just as much about the non-quantifiable stuff as the quantifiable stuff, and just in terms of his work ethic and his commitment in the physical
yeah.
duels and stuff. I thought his
I think
concentration, everything.
yeah, I think it comes back to kind of a thing that you're taught as a kid in terms of win your individual battles and it'll go a long way to securing a result for the team, sort of thing. And I think you're coming up against Mane, you're in the twilight years of your career, but I'd have no bones about saying that Coleman firmly won the battle. Really, I mean, I don't really think he gave Mane a sniff. I think he let him know he was there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think Ancelotti got his tactics spot on, as you say. There was no high line, there was no daft pressing. Liverpool weren't able to target Everton's right as easily as we did Anfield. And yeah, the expected goals on the day, 0.9 for Liverpool and 1.4 to Everton, according to our provider. So not that much in it. I don't think there was very many shots either. But on the day, that suggests that Everton had the slightly better chances, slightly better shots in terms of locations.
Yeah, I think, and I've given Everton plenty of credit. The way they played. As I said, it wasn't a great game for neutral, and maybe those who are certainly inclined to prefer to watch better football might just see that as a really poor game and not really understand why Everton are getting any credit. But I thought he, as you said, nullified Liverpool fairly well. But I also have to admit that they were fairly fortunate in the side that Liverpool put out as well. Obviously, we touched on Salah not playing. I think that affected Liverpool a fair bit. No Robertson as well. And when Matt went off and Lovren came on, it felt like that's when Everton kind of smelt blood a little bit. And that's where the bulk of that XG would have really come from, those kind of late flurry of chances. It was a reminder of why, we talk about Lovren and why I think he just, although he is on the whole a fairly good defender, I don't think he's Liverpool standard. I think he just has too many errors in him.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was a little bit of a nervous wreck, to be honest, when he came on. And he looked, understandably, not really very sharp. Little bit of a calamity when he's chasing balls that he can't really get to and stuff like that, inclined to fall over his own feet. And I think what you mentioned there about Robertson and Salah, it didn't really get mentioned by anyone on the day, but I realised that Liverpool fielded an entire team of right footers on the day. I'm not really sure how popular that is. I'm not sure if that happens very often, but I'd assume that the large majority of fullbacks for virtually every club are left-footed on the left side at least. And we played Milner, and obviously on the right of our midfield, where we'd usually play Salah coming inside, I think Minamino played. So yeah, a team of right footers, and I don't think it helped the way we attacked whatsoever. I think Klopp said since that, our ball circulation and securing the ball was decent, keeping pressure in your half and things like that. But it was just the product in the final third was just non-existent. And I think a lot of that was disrupted by the fact that we didn't have a left-footed Robertson bombing it to the byline, making penetrating runs in behind. And we didn't have an even closely comparable alternative to Salah. It's a completely different dynamic when he's out.
It does make me think, I'll be honest, Josh, that just on that, and I know we don't want to stay in too long because we've got a lot to get through, but it does make me wonder whether Minamino can actually be the right-sided kind of cover that people were hoping he would have been originally in that particular setup and formation. Now, I think he can play on that side, maybe in another formation with a different dynamic, but he felt too much like a Firmino type facilitator rather than, Salah, who for me is more direct and a goal getter, quite physical, and it just makes me think that perhaps, perhaps he's not the. I'm not ruling him off. By the way, he's still a fantastic signing, and he's definitely going to have a purpose. But I just don't think he's going to be the right side of cover that maybe Liverpool will need to be a Salah replacement.
Yeah, no, I am inclined to agree there. I thought that when he came in, without having watched him that much, I thought he was quick enough to be a bit of a Firmino type, but also be a Salah or a Mane if we need him. But I've since kind of realised he's very much a Firmino alternative. I think if Firmino was out and we still had Mane and Salah, Minamino could do a lot of what Firmino does in terms of the off the ball work and the false nine type movement. I think he'd be fine doing that. But anywhere else, um, I'm not sure. But
Yeah,
we'll see. I mean, he's still
yeah.
finding his feet and stuff like
That's
that.
it. Early days, isn't it?
Yeah. A few days later, against Crystal Palace, the two left footers came back in, and the performance was perfect, in my opinion. Um, you're not really getting a much better game. I mean, we spoke a lot about Zaha before the game, and he ended up coming off as a substitute, so that was obviously beneficial. But yeah, the expected goals on the day: Liverpool 2.4, according to our provider, Palace 0.2. So that's virtually 2-0 or 3-0. Palace are certainly not scoring. Yeah, really comfortable, complete performance, I thought.
Yeah, so did I. I thought it was so easy, but then, and this is not to take anything away from Liverpool, because what you just said there, I agree. You know, they were so commanding and dominant, but I just I could see it happening the minute Zaha went off, because I thought they were going to be facing
Yeah,
an uphill battle anyway, and he was really the outlet that I thought, they'll soak up pressure and then try and use him to break on the counter. And he was the whole linchpin to do that. And the minute he went, they've got no one like him. I just knew they were in trouble. Liverpool, you could tell, were up for it. They could obviously sniff how close the title was. And yeah, they just turned it on, and Palace just didn't have a hope. They were quite fortunate, really, I think, that it finished the scoreline that it did.
yeah. I think Fabinho was flawless on the day, and I cannot not point out this stat. You'll know what stat I'm about to point out, probably.
Yeah,
And
well,
most listeners probably will.
was going to say we collected. Well, I collected it, didn't I? So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
good point. But on the day, Crystal Palace had 0 touches in Liverpool's penalty area. Um, I can't stress how mad that is. That's absolutely crazy. Trust me.
mm.
Um, having said that, I did see one clip. Did you see it?
Yeah.
It was in
So
the box, like.
yeah, so what it is basically the definition of the touch is actually if it's an action. So although what happens is what Josh is talking about, for those who don't know, is it Ayew, is it?
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
think
in fact,
Ayew.
no, I think it was Townsend.
Oh, sorry, Townsend. Yeah. So, just inside the box, Townsend makes a slight touch of the ball, but he doesn't contribute to anything. It's nothing really. I don't think it's not a pass, not pass received. It's not really a duel either. It's nothing that's like a quantifiable action, and
Mm,
as a result, it won't register as a touch. Which is fair, because I suppose if you think about it, with touches, if every single touch was taken. Like, if you think of a player carrying it from that, the halfway line to the edge of the box, that could be maybe 10, 11 touches. That would just count as the one action.
yeah,
So I think that's how they actually do it. But I mean, it takes nothing away from how crazy it is to not make any sort of quantifiable action in the box, or, as they say, no touches in there. Yeah, it just sums up Liverpool's dominance. As I said, they were so dominant. They
yeah.
really were.
I think Palace had 3 shots on the day, all from outside the area, obviously.
Mm.
And for a bit of context around that stat, I think Opta has been recording that stat since 2008, and no team in England in the Premier League has recorded 0 opposition touches in the penalty box. So
That's mad.
in terms of what we try and capture of dominance, the whole concept of dominance sort of thing. If you're preventing the opposing team from having a single touch in your penalty box while you're scoring 3 or 4 on the opposite side, and you're shooting about, I think it was about 18 times. Just a complete performance, as I said. One of Liverpool's best of the season, actually, and happened with no fans in the ground, sadly.
Well timed
Um,
performance, you'd say. It's probably the perfect
yeah,
way to then win the title next day.
yeah, it sets it up as well for a really good match on Thursday,
Mm.
because I was hoping Liverpool would go into the match on Thursday with a bit of momentum behind them. And their game against Everton certainly didn't provide that. But Yeah, we might as well talk about Thursday now. Any initial thoughts ahead of Manchester City? Probably the two most impressive teams since the restart. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So what I was thinking about this before, and I was like, I feel before we discuss it in detail, which will change my mind, I actually fancy City a little bit, and that's not a disservice against Liverpool, but I just think Liverpool have achieved the main goal, haven't they? I'm not saying they're not going to be up for it because I think they will, but you know what the margins are like at that level, and I think City will be hurting. City are going to have to give them a guard of honour. I think they'll be wanting to at least get a result on the day, because that must hurt. Let's be honest. Your rivals doing you by 20 odd points, and then you having to give them a guard of honour the first game after you've just won the title. You couldn't, from a Liverpool point of view, you couldn't have picked it any better. From a
It is
City,
very much revenge for the millimeters that we missed out on last season.
yeah, and the 1 point.
It's very much revenge for that, I think.
Yeah, so I just think all this is going to fire up City. Whereas Liverpool, as I said, they'll be on it. I think they will. They'll be wanting to win that game, but I just wonder whether even just lacking that 2 or 3% could be the difference. I could get my eye wiped, and we'll probably go into it more detail now, and I'll finish our conversation thinking now fancy Liverpool again. But that's just my initial thoughts anyway. Are you on the same wavelength or a little bit different?
No, I know what you're saying. And you probably are right in terms of the percentage lacking, but I think with this being Liverpool's first game since becoming champions, I do think Klopp will have that speech in him of like, go and show them why. You know what I mean? That sort of vibe. And Liverpool will kind of, want to, I assume, want to kind of showcase to City, this is why you're 23 points behind, sort of thing. And I think when you look at both teams, I just don't like City's defence. I just think City's defence is really vulnerable, really fragile when it's put under pressure. And there's not many teams in world football that can put you under the pressure that Liverpool can and attack you with so many different weapons as Liverpool can. You've got both fullbacks, you've got the front three, you've got set pieces, throw-ins. You got all kinds of long passes from Van Dijk. So it's a lot to deal with. And the Palace performance has given me a lot of confidence that okay, Liverpool should be okay. Yeah, this should be a competitive match. But I'm not sure if Liverpool, completely dominating like that. I'm not saying that, but it's just it's two ridiculous attacks coming up against a ridiculous defence and a fragile defence, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If you look at if you do just compare the two sides, I think I don't know. You could make arguments on either side to take players from the other team from an attacking point of view, but both sides are probably fairly happy with what they've got attacking wise. But if you ask the same question defence, I don't think Liverpool would take one defender from City. You wouldn't even. I don't think you take Laporte, would you? Given his injury record and where he actually plays. Whereas I think if you're City, you'd take the whole back four, and that's
Yeah.
That's the difference for them.
That is a statement that really, when you think about it.
Yeah,
I'll take the entire back. Probably take the back five.
I was just about to say.
I don't know actually.
Well, could you though? I mean, I suppose Alisson isn't as, and maybe you'll disagree. I think Ederson's a little bit better with his feet to do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's still capable with the ball at his feet, and he's a better shot stopper.
Yeah, knowing what Pep's like, I think Pep would probably keep Ederson. But I think from Liverpool's perspective, Klopp would absolutely keep Alisson. So, and I think, but I do think about if you're building a team around one, I would pick Alisson, and I'm saying that unbiased as well. I do think Ederson's great, and he's one of the best I've ever seen with his feet. Honestly, crazy. But his actual shot stopping, his goalkeeping, his presence, his one-on-ones and stuff like that, he's not as convincing.
Yeah, I'd agree, to be honest. With all that, I think he's fantastic with the ball at his feet. But if you're just looking for, Liverpool are less reliant on that. Converting the goalkeeper into like a third centre back, really. They use Alisson, of course they do. often as a sweeper, but in terms of possession play, they don't rely on him as much. So they wouldn't really need Ederson's kind of best characteristics, whereas they probably would want Alisson's best characteristics in terms of his shot stopping abilities.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke a lot about City's defence on the Friday episode because it was kind of the deciding factor, really. We determined of why both teams are separated by 20 odd points in terms of what they do on the pitch. Liverpool's defence is on a different level to City's. I've got thoughts around that. I've said that before as well. We've had podcasts where we've spoke about, whether Guardiola needs the best players in the world to succeed and things like that. And my thoughts on that is that, because of the idealistic style of play he likes to impose, he places a lot of burden on the shoulders of his players. His defensive players in particular got to cover lots of ground. Defending on the halfway line, one mistake and the opposing team's in. Lots of one-on-ones, all that sort of stuff. And to cope with that burden, you've got to be quite complete. And I think City, lost company. Fernandinho is no longer the six. Rodri's less mobile, although he's still a good player. And Laporte's been injured, although I think he's back for this one. So, and I think Mendy and Walker are both bad decision makers. They're not really. Neither of them are particularly sharp up here. I think. Yeah. I mean, you only got to see what Mendy did for Pulisic's goal last week. Absolute calamity.
So I just on that, I told you, didn't I? I didn't watch the game. Just because I think I was fatigued out, and I also knew what was coming. So I actually, although I've seen clips of him, so I'd seen clips of the actual missed tackle, I suppose you would call it, but I didn't, until I was prepping for this show, watch the whole sequence where he just kind of is it him and Bernardo Silva? Gundogan, sorry, and the pair of them just kind of cock up this possession moment.
But it's not even that. It's after it as well. It's his desire to win the ball back. And he dives in like Otamendi would, or Lovren would.
It was so easy to bypass him, and at that level, it's in City's team, you can't do it. But just on the point you were making just then, that point in general about needing this kind of complete all-rounder is one of the few justified reasons, I think, for when people accuse Guardiola of needing to be at clubs who have vast sums of money. I don't always buy that argument. I know it's quite a hot topic. I do think he's a phenomenal manager that would do well at other clubs, but based on what you're saying there, that's one of the few kind of legitimate arguments, I think, for the point that people try and make, because those players are expensive because they're basically going to be the elite in their position, aren't they?
Yeah.
And you couldn't really imagine him playing the way he does, implementing the philosophy he has with below par players. Like the way, all right, Liverpool have drastically improved once they bought the players that they needed to do so your Van Dijks and your Alissons, but I still feel like Klopp done a really good job when he come in those first few years of implementing a system that got results out of players who weren't probably the best players. And I just wonder whether Guardiola could do the same thing.
I don't think he could personally. I think Guardiola's incredible, and I think he's the best for the best in terms of
that's a good saying, players. Actually.
But I think if he was to take the Liverpool job when Klopp took it, he would have really struggled. I think he could take this Liverpool team now and dominate with it. But the rebuilding and the having to deal with players who are just error prone, an incomplete defence, bringing through a young Trent and coping with his mistakes and all that sort of stuff. I just think to be able to execute Guardiola's football, you need to be really, really good, basically, because of what he expects of you, the demands on your shoulders and stuff like that. And that's why the defence is a problem for them, because I don't think they've got those players. That's why they're being linked with Koulibaly and monsters like that who are just total all rounders, complete players. And Um, I think Liverpool are likely to. I mean, I don't know what his approach will be because I feel like he's tried everything against Liverpool. He's had a bit of success at the Etihad, to be fair, but I'm not sure what his approach will be. Whether he'll still opt for a high line, whether Rodri will still play as his number 6, even though you're playing Liverpool. Mane and Salah running behind. They haven't got Aguero as well, which we haven't touched on yet. Yeah, there's just a few question marks around. I mean, you mentioned earlier about Liverpool have won the league, they've gone on to play for sort of thing, but to an extent, neither have City. I think City have got second place pretty much secured.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the first real meeting for a while that neither manager has to win. They just really, really, really like to because of the obvious situation. So whether Guardiola will stick with what he usually goes with because of that, or whether he will go the opposite way and test something mental, it's hard to predict that.
Yeah, I suppose for the first time in a couple of seasons now, it doesn't feel like a title decider, does it? I think, I feel like City have got more to play for because they've got a lot more pride to play for. Like Liverpool won't have a sleepless night if they
Yeah,
get beat Wildy. They've got the title sewn up. I think if City were to lose this game on the back of losing the title, I think that would hurt them a lot. But yeah, it's not a title aside, and the reality is they probably could be a little bit more flexible in the approach. Klopp doesn't need to. Guardiola's an overthinker anyway, isn't he? So you don't really know what he'd do. There probably is going to be a few tactical questions to be asked, especially with certain players missing, such as Aguero, and whether they'll kind of line up in a similar way to how they did at Chelsea. I don't
yeah.
know.
Just a little bit on City's defence, and we'll start bringing a few visualisations in now for those that are watching on YouTube. Trying to stick with the theme of late for those that are listening, trying to make the show a little bit more interactive and stuff like that. So hopefully you can see that. They are the shot locations of the shots that Man City faced from open play in the Premier League this season. Obviously, there's not many. But one thing I've noticed on it's quite weighted, isn't it, towards the right of City's defence, which is where where Walker would be, and where I don't know Fernandinho or Otamendi or whoever's playing would be.
John Stones, whoever, yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't previously aware of that, and it's quite funny as well, considering City left back's been a problem position for a while, and Laporte's been out all season. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but I just thought it was just something that I spotted and just thought that looks quite weighted towards one side.
Yeah, they'll probably need some further analysis that actually, because that's it. If it was last season's map, you probably understand it, wouldn't you? It kind of makes sense. But yeah, this season, the defence as a whole, it's been a bit up and down, makeshift, and a bit of a mess. So you kind of expect some sort of, well, you'd expect it to be across the board, wouldn't you? Really. But then it'd be interesting to see where those shots, where the balls originate from, whether they've come from the left and being cut across goal.
Yeah,
which is something we'll be able to look at.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you should say that because while we've just been talking about it, I didn't.
Go on. I was going to say I didn't intentionally set that up just in case people think we're trying to fool them here.
No, while you were saying that, then it did actually cross my mind. Hang on, sorry, I'm getting completely mixed up. I was thinking about that day with the shots that City had attempted to score. Yeah, because I was thinking to myself, De Bruyne's playing on the opposite side.
Let me just see if I can. I hate this part where we go, hold on, let's just hold on for 1 minute, see if we can look at something, because people must be watching, listening, thinking, get on with it. But yeah, we could bring that up very quickly, actually.
Just a little bit on that anyway. While you're doing that, the major threat that I do want to point out is Kevin De Bruyne, for obvious reasons. These are his open play, shot, assist locations in the Premier League this season. Again, apologies for those who are listening, but that is quite impressive. You see that, Dave?
I'm just got it now, mate. Yeah,
that is,
I mean, phenomenal.
For one player, that's a lot. Probably the most shots, assists per 90 in the Premier League, I think I'm right in saying. But I think it's interesting that there's a few what you'd call what would you call them? Like kind of segments, clusters. There's a few clusters there, isn't there? In terms of there's obviously over here everyone's seen that pass that he does. It's kind of like a pass cross type thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got a few from deeper locations here. And then you've obviously got the cutbacks type crosses from closer to the byline. So he's kind of a threat who, because of how much of an all-rounder he is and how versatile he is, he kind of can just come at you from all angles depending on how he's used by Guardiola.
Yeah.
So you can't really, aside from this type of stuff, which I think he does most often, you can't really plan ahead for what he offers.
Yeah, he's that's it. He literally can anywhere across the final third really create chances, which might not sound that remarkable to anybody listening now, but it is. You know, to have a player who can be any part of the final third and create is impressive. I think he's been phenomenal this season. You know, I know City have had a bit of an up and down campaign, but I think from an individual perspective, he's been brilliant. And obviously, a Liverpool player is going to, I imagine, get Player of the Year, and you can understand why. But I mean, he should be right in there in the conversation for me, anyway.
Yeah, no, he's the big danger for me.
Let me just bring this up.
Well.
Let me just bring this up, Josh. Where is it? Hold on.
Apologies for the.
Have you got that now?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So let me just close that. So it looks like there's a fairly large amount of crosses coming from the left side, but they look like mainly set pieces. But what I want to point out is, can you have a look? Can you see these almost direct balls from the City's right wing from a defensive point of view coming right down here? And I just wonder if they're passes that are getting played.
So are these the shots City have faced?
So these are shots that City have faced, and the line represents the pass from where the
assist
ball
locations.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And if you just have a look at I think this area here, which would be, say, balls from midfield splitting in between the right back and the right centre back, seems to get a lot of success there.
That's interesting. And
you think about from a Liverpool point of view, that's Robertson potentially playing through ball to Mane to run onto.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say then, a lot of them balls, considering how high they are, they're obviously through passes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think one thing you can get from that shot map that I put up before, where they've faced shots from, you know, that offers an insight into perhaps on the day Mane will be the biggest threat than Salah, but I don't think you can ever rule Salah's threat out. But it just looks like City a little bit weighted towards conceding chances on the right side of their box as opposed to the left.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's one to keep an eye
on.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the defence though, they've actually been quite clean up to now. I think they've played 4 matches since the restart, including an FA Cup game, and I've only conceded in 1 match. And in that 1 match against Chelsea, it was obviously the Mendy mistake, and it was a penalty. So, you know, those are unlikely to happen every other week. So City's defence has actually been quite composed since they returned. And obviously against Liverpool, I think that the crowd does tend to come into it and fluster them a little bit. So maybe those mistakes that Liverpool are good at getting out of the City defenders, maybe they're less likely to happen. But again, we can't really offer much insight into what the lack of fans is doing just yet. Feels a little bit early. Go on.
So I was just going to say, what I do want to add to that is, though, and I think it really kind of just reiterates what the whole kind of point we've been making over the past 20 minutes or so is, I've watched the last 6 goals they've conceded, So that's the 2 at Chelsea, 2 at United, 1 against Villa, and 1 against Real Madrid. And every single goal was an error. And I know you can argue that goals conceded are always an error to an extent. Someone hasn't done something right or whichever. But these are obvious errors that you can pinpoint.
Errors that have happened as a result of the
mhm,
burden that
Spot
was
on,
on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So that's 6 goals. So basically, you're right in the sense that City as a defensive unit are actually on the whole fairly sound. It's why they're not conceding a load and they don't face many shots, but there are still plenty of errors in there. And
yeah.
as I
I
said,
think
each of the last 6 goals are mistakes.
yeah. I think the right word for it is probably moments. Remember Gary Neville said that stuck with me a little bit. He said against City, sometimes you have to live in moments, because they don't give you the sniff, but when they do, they are prone to just kind of collapsing for a split second.
Mm.
And then when that happens, you have to really take advantage of it and put them to the sword. Liverpool have been good at doing that, and they've got the front three certainly to do it. Maybe set pieces will play a part as well. Just considering, I suppose the, the height of City, the physicality of City. I'm not sure if what players will start. I know Pep started 7 midfielders against Chelsea, which is crazy. But Gabriel Jesus, Sterling, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, De Bruyne's got a bit of height to him, I think. Rodri's obviously quite tall. Fernandinho not so much. Laporte is about 6'2", 6'3", I think. Mendy and Walker quite tall. Fair play to them. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're looking at how can we score against Manchester City. I mean, I don't think they allow many set pieces, but when they do, surely those are big opportunities. Let's say.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It's a shame I haven't got any numbers to back it up. But if you think of the Norwich game early in the season, I'm pretty sure there was a couple goals that originated from
Yeah,
set
the first
pieces
goal
there.
was definitely a near post header
Yeah,
that they conceded.
and they must have one of the smallest sides in the league. When you think of those players, they've got some really fantastic, technically gifted players, but maybe not that much height in there. I, it would be good actually to write a piece. Maybe one of us will do it, and at the end of the season, and see how they've improved from set pieces, because they brought in that Nicholas Jova, was it, from
Yeah, from
Brentford,
Brentford. Yeah,
in the summer. Because my guess is, and we maybe even spoke about it, I think you said something similar, was they've looked at Liverpool, seen how many goals they were scoring, and were like, we need to improve on that. I think they had the lowest conversion rates set piece wise compared to goals last season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But I did have a quick glance when I was before the show, and Van Dijk has scored 4 league goals, hasn't he? Headed goals this season, and I think it's Aguero and Jesus who've scored the most at City with 2 apiece. So they're kind of missing a big aerial presence, aren't they, from corners, from attacking corners, and then obviously it'll work the same way in defending them. So
yeah,
I think that's something Liverpool can definitely profit from.
yeah. I mean, they did something at the very start of the season in the Community Shield against Liverpool, and I remember
Oh yeah.
flagging it, talked about it in the show, wrote a piece on it, and I expected more to come, but we haven't seen that much in terms of thinking outside the box and doing little shrewd things that have clearly been premeditated. Um, for whatever reason, Dave has just left the call. You back?
Yeah, the wife. Sorry, everyone.
I was going to log off myself then.
Yeah, no, sorry about that, everyone.
Felt like
Carry on, mate.
Mendy on my own dealing with a council tax.
I was just trying, because City was coming up. I was just giving you a feeling what it's like to be a City defender when you're policing the counter attack. Yeah, still there. We missed the studio a little bit, don't we, mate?
Yeah, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with the lack of outside the box thinking that City have demonstrated. Maybe they have under the radar, but I haven't really picked up on much of it.
Yeah, I
Maybe
expected
it
a little bit
stems from
more.
the lack of personnel, the lack of because you need players who are, yeah, like Liverpool can obviously use Van Dijk in those situations. Um, Say for example, Manchester United can use Harry Maguire in those situations. Now, I know Laporte's decent here, really, and Otamendi's quite good in the air as well, but he doesn't play every week. But maybe they just need, as I said, the personnel to use for that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree. Would because City's strengths are, being in possession of the ball and very good technical players. Does Guardiola think, well, I'd much prefer the side to just go short, get the ball back in play, and carve open opportunities in open play, rather than putting it in, knowing that, I imagine you're playing like a Brighton or a Burnley or a Liverpool. Ironically, there's big defenders in there who are really good in the air. What would be the point in swinging the ball in if you know they're not going to win it in the aerial duels? That's you probably just prefer to get the ball into feet where that's City's strengths. So maybe that's why there hasn't been the kind of routines that we were hoping to see from them. Yeah, that's all I can assume.
Yeah. So verdict on this one then. Where do you see this going? Where do you see it being won and lost? And be honest, we appreciate that you're a blue in that, but
No. So I remember at the top of the segment I said to you, if you're asking for me initial thoughts here, I fancy City because of X, Y, Z. But I'll wait and see at the end. And now after this talk, and I'm like, I don't know now because I just think Liverpool don't have any weaknesses in the side, and they have so many strengths from an attacking point of view. Whereas City do have an obvious weakness to be exploited. You know what? I think I'm gonna go with a draw, a score draw. I can maybe see City starting fast, getting a goal, and I could see that maybe kicking Liverpool into gear a little bit, and Liverpool finishing a little bit stronger. I'm gonna go 1-1.
yeah, I am leaning towards a score draw, to be honest. But I think I will say in this one in particular, a lot of it will be determined by who scores first. I think if Liverpool score first, City could have a problem. Whereas I think if it's the other way around, I think Liverpool would be better equipped to start going for it to get a goal back, but while having Van Dijk and Gomez to still deal with counters and Fernandinho and that, Fabinho, sorry. I think Liverpool are better equipped on that side.
Yeah.
Whereas if City start overloading to get a goal back and to get themselves back in the game, I think Liverpool can get on the break, especially considering those defenders that we've mentioned. So,
Yeah.
but I am inclined, especially considering neither team technically needs to win. I do think that around the hour mark, if it's level, I don't think either team will really go for it, and I think it could be level. So I think I'm going to go with 1-1. I think maybe 2-2, but I think I'm going to go 1-1.
I am looking forward
I
to
don't. I have very very little faith in City's defence. So if 2-1 Liverpool is possible as well. I don't know. Tough one that.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna stick with the score draw one way or the other. I think. 1-1, 2-2, something like that. But I am looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah. Keep an eye on who scores first is what I feel most confident in saying. But we'll move on anyway to Aston Villa. Likely to be a lot easier.
Yeah, judging by the season so far, but then I don't know.
Even
they're gonna
even
fight
how they
hard,
perform since the restart, though.
Yeah, fair.
They are bad.
Yeah, they've been.
I watched them the other day, and they're just the way you can usually spot patterns in a team. I know that he's only been working with that group since the start of the season, so you've had to work from scratch almost. But I just don't see anything. I don't see any patterns, any plan.
Are you thinking of the Wolves game by any chance? Was that the one you watched?
Yeah, it was.
I must admit, I was like, these just seem completely incapable once they got to anywhere near final third.
Anywhere near the halfway line, I thought.
Probably a better summary, yeah. They look completely toothless up top, and they've got a really weak defence as well. So the problem is, you're basically weak at both ends of the pitch, which means it's no surprise that they're not picking up points in the, loitering the foot of the table, and it'd have to be a miracle really to get out of what they look like they're going to probably get relegated. But then sometimes these games are really hard. They just pull something out of the bag, and Liverpool maybe foot off the gas a little bit. You don't know. I can't see it. I'll be honest, I can't. But I think it's still one that Liverpool have got to take serious.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that the away fixture was quite tricky, but I think one of the key reasons it was a tough one. We ended up winning 2-1 in the end, 2 late goals. But one of the reasons it was a tough one was because we conceded first, and it was also from a set piece as well, which we don't usually concede from. And yeah, I think Villa event that they're quite well suited to a bit of a low block type vibe. I think Tyrone Mings in particular is quite good at that low block type game where he's good in the air and that sort of stuff, and he's a talker and things like that. I think they had Tom Heaton in goal at the time, who's obviously used to that sort of thing with Burnley. And once he took the lead, they really did sit on it for an hour. Liverpool usually will get you back for that quicker than we did. They were obviously backed by the fans as well at the time at Villa Park. It was really loud, good atmosphere. That won't happen this time. But yeah, I mean, as you said, spot on with what you just said in terms of we'll start with the defence, the worst in the league. I've got it as just terrible. I think Dean Smith has got a bit of a record for that as well, hasn't
he? Yeah, he's like a Bobby Martinez type character.
Yeah.
Defensively, that is. They look really, really bad at the back, really shoddy, and they have done all season. To win a game, they probably need to score 2 or 3 goals, and as we briefly touched on, they're not really capable of doing that. So it's no surprise that they're not winning.
Yeah, well, I've got it down on my notes here, and actually that since the restart, I've played 4 matches. In each match, number of goals 0, 1, 1, 0. So you're basically guaranteed to win the game if you can score 2 against them. And well, since the restart at least. And looking at the defence, it's highly likely that a team as good as Liverpool are going to bag 2 against them, really. So yeah, I don't envisage many problems. We shared this last week, Friday, I think it was. So it might be a little tiny bit out of date considering there's a few matches played on a weekend. But that is how the defences in the Premier League look this season, in terms of expected goals against and actual goals against this season. Obviously, Liverpool down here with the best defence, expected to concede around 30 according to XG. We've conceded about 21, I think. Villa at the opposite end conceded about 60, been expected to concede about 60. That's the absolute last thing you want when you come into Anfield, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And they boast a clean sheet, don't they? Since the restart, but even that shouldn't have been a clean sheet. It was the most bizarre circumstances ever, where it was a blatant error, goalkeeping error. The ball goes across the line, and it wasn't given. It was the only time I think since these goal line technology watches have come in for the referees that didn't work, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a shambles. That.
Yeah, it was really, really poor. I know this is a Liverpool podcast, so we don't want to get too bogged down on it, but it was so poor. You got VAR there; they should have pulled it back. They didn't, and they ended up getting a point and a clean sheet in that game. But in reality, it should have been another goal against and another defeat. So it can be slightly misleading if someone looks at it there and thinks, "Oh, well, they've got 1 clean sheet," because that shouldn't have been the case. They're just not a good side at all.
Yeah, I mean, we showed the shots earlier on that City have faced from open play. If you want to see the opposite end of the scale, there is Aston Villa's. As you can see, they face a lot of shots. That's just from open play as well. That's excluding set pieces. Um, they're all fairly central to the goal as well. Um, plenty inside the penalty box, and that's just kind of not what you want, basically. I don't know who this was here,
Oh yeah.
Charlie Adam or something.
Tell you what, though,
Um,
you've got a job on your hands trying to see the 6 yard line there, haven't you?
yeah, yeah, but
Which isn't a good sign.
the type of team that I'm pretty sure that they face the most shots per 90. I'll double check that now, but I think in terms of generating shots against this team, unless you concede first in the first 20 minutes, as Liverpool did at Villa Park, I think Liverpool are going to be, um, having a bit of a field day in terms of the attack. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I think they have faced the most shots this year, and it's hardly a surprise, is it? Again, yeah. I said at the start of the segment that these could be a banana skin, and I'm still not ruling it out. But there's just nothing to like about Villa at the moment. There's absolutely nothing to like defense wise, attack. Now even Grealish, who I imagine we'll talk about in a minute, Grealish has looked a little bit out of sorts. It looks like he's almost getting weighed down by the burden of having to carry the side, and he's doing a little bit too much to make up for the lack of quality elsewhere, and it's almost nullifying his best assets as well. So their biggest threat is not really performing what they need them to be either. So there's not much to like about them at all at the moment.
yeah, you mentioned Grealish there. I've kind of got him down as the only major threat, really. I think John McGinn's looked a little bit out of sorts since he came back. Hasn't really provided much of a threat. Um, I also noticed that Villa is second bottom in the division for through balls. Liverpool, I think, are top or second top with 74 completed. That is. Villa on the opposite side have completed only 26 all season. I think that stems from the lack of pace they've got up front, which is what you need if you're going to challenge Liverpool's line. I think the last time we reported on them and we did a show like this, we said that the defence is terrible, but their attack is about mid-table. I think now their attack's taking a hit. It's 17th in the league they are for me in terms of non-penalty expected goals. The worst goal difference, second worst goal difference in the league. The worst expected goal difference in the league. It doesn't bode well for him, but I do think Grealish is a problem. I think he's maybe too inclined to get fouled, which sounds harsh of me to blame him for that. But on the attacking side, I think he is one of the few who, when he is pressed, he can still lift his head and spot little openings and opportunities. But he hasn't got that player running beyond him. So
that's what I was just about to say. If Villa had a striker, it doesn't even need to be a top striker, just a mid ranking forward. I'd be saying, yeah, there's going to be that little threat there, because you can imagine them sitting in a low block, and then Grealish is a really good ball carrier. He can
yeah,
carry the ball up the pitch. He can get them out of the defensive third and right up into the opposition's half. But he does it on his own, and I think that's a lot why he wins so many fouls. He takes the touch and goes down, because he probably knows if he doesn't, he's going to lose possession, because there's absolutely no option for them. So yeah, he is the threat, but we're not. If Grealish was the type of player who, I know he's got it in his locker, but he doesn't do this a lot. If he was the type of player that could run at you the way Zaha does, and then hopefully try and apply a finish, then I think he'd be a bigger threat. But I feel like Grealish is a little bit more of that facilitator, and he hasn't really got anyone to set up, anyone to
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be, it's probably see a lot of him kind of running frustrated and then getting dispossessed, and the attack starting again for Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting actually on Grealish getting fouled that Liverpool are the least likely to make a foul in the Premier League, I think, this season. So whether we will impose that tactic specifically for Grealish remains to be seen. I doubt it personally, but that is usually how teams tend to deal with his threat. Just as soon as he gets on the ball, put him on the floor. I think that's certainly how City deal with his threat. One other little thing as well, they've actually got the most one-footed player in the league, and it's not close. He's the most one-footed by an absolute mile. I guess. He's put it this way: the player who's the second most one-footed in the league, this player is twice as one-footed as him.
Let me see. Let me bring this. I'll go on. Just I was just. Is it El Mohammadi?
It is El Mohammadi. Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
Because literally, I just typed in Aston Villa squad, and I was like, it just stinks of El Mohammadi.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty certain he's right-footed, and he averages a left-footed pass every 110 touches or something like that. It was.
What side does he play on, Josh?
Yeah, he's got to play on the right wing. Surely. For context, the second most one-footed player in the league is Charlie Taylor at Burnley. And El Mohammadi is twice as one-footed as he is. So if he's playing, expect him to be the product of a lot of pressing traps. But I think he's being used as a substitute more often than not lately. So I wouldn't expect to see him. But he absolutely hates his left foot. Put it that way.
So do I.
Yeah. So verdict then. Round up.
Yeah, the way Villa are at the moment, even if Liverpool are in fifth gear, you could imagine to coast and still get there. So, yeah, I think 3-0.
3-0. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with. I suppose it depends on the team he plays. Considering he plays City away on the Thursday, maybe he'll be inclined to rotate a bit. But if it's the usual Liverpool team, I would go 3-4-0. Same as Palace, really. Just as honest as that.
What are you open to see actually from these final few weeks? Do you want to see rotation? Do you want to see like Curtis Jones and stuff playing, or you're not that fussed?
If Curtis Jones is playing, I want at least 8 of the usual 11 to be in place alongside him. I don't want big changes. I want records personally. So if Minamino's playing, virtually everyone else plays. If Jones is playing, virtually everyone else plays. If Nico Williams is playing, virtually everyone else plays. I do want them all to get. I think you need 5 appearances to get a medal. Harvey Elliott's not done as well. I think you need 5 appearances to get a medal. So I'd like them all to get that personally. But as I said, that if you're changing everyone at once, that's not what I want to see. I don't like that.
So you don't want to see. Go on. I was going to say you don't want to risk results for experience.
Well, I think you can mix them both if you bring the players in at the right times and stuff like that. Like I think if Trent plays 90 minutes against City, and then Nico Williams comes in and plays 90 minutes against Villa, considering Villa's lack of threat, I don't think you'd suffer that much. I think if everyone else is playing alongside him, sort of thing, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. So I do want to see players given chances, but I also want the record. So providing there's a balance there, I'm okay with it. Yeah, we'll round up there then. Next week we have Brighton and somebody else. So I think we'll be Brighton Wednesday. So we will probably be back next Tuesday around that time. I'm expecting, but it's a bit relentless at the minute with the schedule. So we'll see. But thanks for joining us anyway, Dave.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you.
And we'll be back next week. Thanks.